Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our Supercars Career Mode Round 2 of the season this weekend. Headed your way after the ups and downs of our debut in Bathurst, where Trackhouse in their debut was able to get a win with our teammate and our rookie teammate, that being Jay Cook. But we come into Round 2 where we were unable to get a top 10 in either of the two races, but now we head to New Zealand here in Taupo. Excited for this one, of course, watching the real life races. They were absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping we can put together at least a top 10 here today is kind of the goal that I have. Now, there is supposed to be some weather in the area all weekend long here, from practice through qualifying to the race for both events. Of course, two qualifyings, two races for this weekend again. And if you wonder how the point system is sorted, you can check the last episode, but basically 300 points per race are handed out across a weekend, I should say, and it's split up into basically how many races there are. So 2 races available this weekend, where some weekends will have 4 as well, but the majority of the season will be set off of 2 races. But you know, we didn't have a great Bathurst. We made some mistakes on track. We picked up some damage. We made some mistakes as well in the pit sequence, and you know, taking too much fuel actually was a problem in Bathurst. We saw that set us back in the second race. So we're coming into this weekend kind of learning from those mistakes and just trying to focus in on, you know, cleaning those up coming into this weekend here now, as we would call it a practice. And I was actually top of the board in practice here, so very happy with that, and we would remain top of the board all practice long right through to the end of the session. But you can see, as we're checking out some of the other cars on track, you can see some rain is falling in the area, as actually Aaron Love goes for an off-track excursion there. But we focus in on qualifying now, and you can see on the hood some raindrops on the car. But now taking you for a lap here in Taupo. This is my fastest lap that I put down here in the session now, as we come through turn number 1, a long sweeping left hairpin right there, and then you go down through this right-hander turn 2, kind of a little downhill uphill dip here now as you climb back up the elevation a little bit. Beautiful scenery in the area. You see the mountains there in the background as we go down through the right-hander. This is another one you got to be really patient to make sure you don't go a little bit wide on that exit there. Use a little bit of curbing, and then you get up through the gears here. Now I stay about 3rd gear here, and then we're going to go down to 2nd and then 1st, and actually a little bit of oversteer on the entrance here. A lot of hairpin base corners on this circuit, at least in the first part of it now, but it gets interesting from this point on because it kind of cleans up and gets a little bit more stretched out, you could say. You have this little kink to the right side here, getting down into 2nd gear, then of course hard on that throttle up through the gears one more time before we head to the long back straightaway. And you have a long sweeping patient slow left hairpin right here. You get down to about 60 miles per hour, and then you throttle back up. Actually not a great exit for myself. Currently Macaulay Jones on pole position over Brock Feeney and Bathurst race 1 winner, and our teammate of Jay Cook as well, Thomas Randall and Davison there 7th and 8th. But down this long back straightaway, get down through the gears. I brake just before the 100 marker, in between that and the 150, and we just go through this little chicane section now, and then one final turn, get it hooked up there on the curbing, hard on the gas as you can, is what you're comfortable with without losing the rear end to the line. That puts us P5 briefly, but it wouldn't quite stick. By the end of qualifying, it would put us down a few more positions. P7 here for Taupo. Very happy with that. Jay Cook P4, our teammate there, but it's going to be Macaulay Jones on pole position. How about that? Waters in 3rd, another good effort from him as we get ready to go racing now. We have a few 2024 liveries that we'll talk about that are in the field, including Macaulay Jones on pole, but we're ready to go racing for race number 1 of 2 this weekend here. Jones, Feeney, Waters, your top 3. It's lights out. We're racing from Taupo now. You can see leading the way in that Wendy's Camaro in the background. You'll notice the 2 Penrite cars as well have their actual 2024 New Zealand liveries that they did run recently in this event here now. So 3 2024 liveries join the grid now. As you can see, Brock Feeney side by side. He's going to get ahead of Cam Waters, who's going to try and fight back to the left side. Waters, of course, looked strong in Bathurst. Didn't quite get the results that he was looking for. 22 laps of racing here. You can make a fuel run go to about 17 or so laps. You're going to see a mix of 1-stop strategies as well as 2 stops. So if you go with the 1-stop, you're going to spend a lot more time in the pits for fuel and tires. If you go with the 2-stop, you can spend less time in the pits on both pit stops and try to make up the time there. So we'll see who attempts at 2 stops. I think the 1-stop is just going to be the way to go. Spend more time originally in the pits, but obviously don't have to come in for a second pit stop. So we'll have to wait and see what works out here. For myself, right here behind Thomas Randall now, very happy with the start for myself. We run P9, so actually I lost positions, so I lost 2 spots, but it's Randall and LeBrock in 8th and 7th as we head down into the hairpin.
Okay, not a great start, but be patient. A lot of laps here, mate.
Yeah, 10-4. I just didn't feel like I was aggressive enough right there. You hear our race engineer, James Small, just saying, be patient. I wasn't aggressive enough, and we lost a few positions. You see the clouds above us in the sky, so some overcast type skies here now as we head down to the braking zone and just kind of following this Castrol Edge Ford Mustang in front of us of Randall, but it's Macaulay Jones leading the way over Waters and Feeney. So Brock Feeney in need of a good weekend to kind of bounce back here. It wasn't a great Bathurst weekend for him, but you can see myself trying to hold off Fullwood and Cameron Hill just behind him in 10th and 11th place. But my goal, my strategy for this race is quite simple. Race 1, I'm not sure about race 2 yet. We're going to see how race 1 of course plays out, but my goal for race 1 is we're going to let this race stretch out. We're going to basically push the field until I'm on an empty tank, and that's when we're going to pit. So we're going to go as long as we possibly can. I don't expect everybody to do that. I am expecting a majority of 1-stops, and there's certainly going to be some up here in the top 10 that are going to make an attempt to do that 2-stop strategy as well and see if they can make up the time by spending less time in the pit lane overall with the 2 stops. Now off track, who is that? And it's early Chaz Mostert trouble. Mostert off circuit into the gravel. He's going to get it back going, but he missed the braking zone. It looked like he locked up, and off track he went, so a free position gained into 8th position as we focus forward. And now Mostert, after a bit of an up and down start to the season, is going to have a rough race 1, day 1 here in Topo, now in front of the New Zealand crowd as we head down through this long sweeping left hairpin. Of course, now 4 countries represented in Supercars this season, with Australia, New Zealanders, as well as myself, Canada, and then of course our rookie teammate Jay Cook, the United States driver, as we get a little bit of radio feed from Cook, who runs P5.
Car's good, guys, just struggling a bit for speed.
You can see rain falling a little bit. The track slightly damp, but no more than that, and that's going to be kind of a steady thing throughout this race. It's probably not going to get wet enough to actually affect anything. Now, it sounds like the weather's going to be quite wet on day 2, so that's really where we're going to have to pay attention. So these are really probably the best conditions we're going to see all weekend, and it's just damp enough to where you can see the tire marks coming off of the cars in front of us now, as we had a great corner there, closing up to the back of Thomas Randall. Our teammate Jay Cook off the track, and he's done the same thing as Mostert. We go through, and now we take P7 away and move up another position. It seems like now, and actually another driver there. That's David Reynolds, who's joined him off circuit. Now we're seeing 3 drivers now in these early laps make the same mistake, and Cook, moments after he was talking about the car being good, just lacking some speed, he's in the gravel trap, and his race is ruined here. Now, we don't have any safety cars in this career mode because, as I said, of course, the limitations of this game just don't allow for it. Fortunately, the races are short enough to where we don't necessarily need safety cars to actually make it, extremely exciting. So 22 laps here in both races. I might shorten them up a little bit here. These first 2 episodes are kind of experimenting where the lengths of the races need to be. So at the end of this episode, let me know if the lengths are cool or if they need to be a tad bit shorter. They certainly don't need to be longer, but definitely let me know if they need to be shorter, since we do have 2 races per episode. Again, David Reynolds has made another mistake off track again. This time he was able to collect it and get back going, but it's been a rough start for Reynolds now, and Cook is right there with them as we continue in P7 at this point. Already lap 7, these first handful of laps flying by, but I have not really, I've not made a single on-track pass so far. I mean, it drives good. I just don't have enough speed.
Yeah, 10-4, mate. Jay said the same thing.
Both rookie drivers for Trackhouse and this new team in Supercars reporting the same issue. Macaulay Jones, Cam Waters, first and second. They're going to pit as they're going to attempt a 2-stop strategy, and actually it would be Cam Waters who's going to get out in front of Jones. He takes less fuel than Macaulay Jones right there, as they will have to take, of course, on a 2-stop strategy, less fuel than anybody else will on the 1-stop strategy on both of their pit stops, which is where they're trying to gain the time, because you spend quite a bit of time in the pit lane. I just don't know about a 2-stop. I just don't think it can only work if you have a really fast car. More issues there. That's the Bathurst Race 2 winner, Jack LeBlanc, off track. That would allow me to pass him. So we move up another position, and then we move up an additional 2 because of Waters and Jones pitting. So now we go to 4th. We have still yet to make an on-track pass. We're still following Thomas Randall here. Brock Feeney's now out in front, and then you got Anton Di Pasquale in second, Randall third, myself fourth. There goes Pasquale in, and same for Randall. They're going to commit to the 2-stop as well, as now you can see Brock Feeney out in front. Now, it should be mentioned, you can make it on a 1-stop strategy from this point on. They just are deciding to not go for that. They are going for the 2-stop. So now we've hit lap 11, about the halfway point, and anybody that's waited to this point to pit are likely the drivers that will go for the 1-stop and pack their fuel tanks full. 135 liters of fuel is what these supercars are capable of holding. That's the limitations these cars have. So we will be packing it directly full, likely here. Now, as you can see, more drivers pitting. Cameron Hill, Will Davison, as well as Mark Winterbottom. Of course, 2 winners last episode, Cook, as well as LeBlanc now, and both of those guys not having good days as they've both gone off the circuit here. So we run P2. Brock Feeney on lap 12, however, coming to 13. He is going to come in and make his pit stop. So he is on the 1-stop strategy. So we are going to be able to move through into the lead of this race because we're just stretching out this run. That's the goal here. Really just wait until this car's on its last legs of fuel before we make a pit stop. Looking behind us, you got Brian Fullwood, who's going to also stay out. Tim Slade having a solid run here this weekend in Topo as well. So a shout out to him. As you can see, the sprinkles falling on the track. There's Cam Waters as well. There's Macaulay Jones, and he's actually going at it here with that Pennzoil Mustang, and they're going to continue side by side here. Now we got one of the Penrite Fords just in front. Look at that beautiful livery. That's actually now gone into the pit lane. Jones struggling out there right now as we continue on just doing our thing. We're out in the lead now of this race by about 4 seconds, just about over Fullwood. Feeney, finally, he's exiting the pits here now, and same for Tim Slade, who's also come into the pits, and there is Cam Waters. He's actually out of the pits behind Brock Feeney, so Feeney's gonna get out in front even after taking more fuel, and he can go to the end. So clearly Cam Waters and Macaulay Jones already in trouble. If you don't come out ahead of a driver on a 1-stop, there's no chance you're going to be able to, of course, beat them, really. Fullwood, you saw in the background there, pits. So lap 14, really just letting these laps wind down already at this point. You can see on towards the bottom left the fuel gauge and the tires as well. Feeney would go through into second. He was quickly closing, less than 10 seconds between himself and I, but it's Feeney, Waters, and Jones. But Waters, Jones, we know they're on the 2-stop, so they will have to pit here one more time. Pasquale, Hill, Fullwood, Winterbottom, they should be able to make that 1-stop work. They should be going to the end of this race. You see our fuel light blinking in the bottom there, but we're going to run one more lap. We have just enough fuel to stretch it a bit further now. More problems. Cam Waters on the 2-stop, and now into the gravel, and Macaulay Jones is going to go through. But Waters, I mean, it's been a rough start to the season. He's had speed, but another mistake, that's going to set him back now, as he still has to make that additional pit stop, and a lot of 1-stop drivers right now surrounding him. That's race ruined for Cam Waters. He is not going to get a good result out of this, and moments later, Macaulay Jones is coming in for his second and final pit stop. And yeah, I mean, if you did a 2-stop strategy and then didn't have enough of a gap, you just threw your race away. So he's in. Cam Waters would join him. They're both putting about 90 liters of fuel in their car, which is plenty to get to the end of this race. But we are going to be coming in at the end of this lap, so you could go 17 full laps on a fuel tank here without running out, to just kind of show you how far you can stretch it. So will this strategy be worth it, stretching it as far as we can? Of course, other drivers behind us on fresh rubber. Feeney cut the gap down to 5.7 seconds. You still see the water on the car. Rain is still falling, but it's just not enough to the point where it's going to affect the circuit. But we get the tires on, the Dunlop tires, of course, and then the fuel eventually fully in the car, and you can see Brock Feeney out in front, Pasquale, Cameron Hill, Fullwood, as I nearly lose it there, Winterbottom into 5th, but we might be ahead of Thomas Randall. I think we will be as we exit this pit stop sequence, and sure enough, ahead of Thomas Randall, but not by much. You're going to pay attention to that rear view mirror, and there he is, Randall, however, on a 2-stop strategy, let's remember. So he is going to be a threat right now, but he's not going to be a threat in these closing laps. He's really trying to push that stop to late, but he's going to dive one up the inside there. Randall moves through into P6, but that's okay. Now we have to get these tires warmed up, settled in and try to move forward. And actually, Anton De Pasquale, surprisingly, is in for another pit stop, so he is not committed to a one-stop. He's going to pit again and tumble down the order. There goes Randall for his second stop that we knew was coming, and behind me we got Will Davison trying to run us down in these closing laps of this race. So we go up into the 6th position, but Pasquale had to take so little fuel on a second stop that he's able to actually still be out in front of me, and you can see him up the road right there. That's the idea of the two-stop strategy right there. You have to take so little fuel on your second stop that you can still be ahead of the other cars that are on a one-stop strategy. That's exactly what Pasquale aimed to do, and it worked for staying ahead of myself like he has all race. So it is possible to get that strategy to work. It just really matters about your positioning on the track right now. But Brock Feeney leads in second place. Cameron Hill way behind, over 10 seconds back. Fullwood, Winterbottom, look at these three drivers all having great races. De Pasquale just in front of myself, and we are running him down in these closing laps after his second pit stop. He just hasn't quite seemed to have been able to light up this car and get it going, and I'm sandwiched in between, of course, these two red and white Pennzoil Mustangs. We continue to focus in, and we still have not made an on-track pass here today. We have not passed a single car on track other than in pit stop cycles and as well cars going off the track, but everyone seemed to have limited their mistakes here in the last half of this race. Nobody's really gone off track, but of course big names of the rookie of Cook, the winner from Bathurst, and then Jack LeBrock, the other winner from Bathurst. They've all had their issues, but Cook has actually rebounded well because he's been on a one-stop strategy, and it's actually projected him back into 8th place as we start the final lap of this race here. Race 1 in Topo, an interesting one to say the least, but I mean, I've enjoyed the strategy. I hope you guys have enjoyed the strategy, and let me know if I did a good job of explaining things for you guys to understand what was happening around us, because it's really all on me. The game doesn't do a good job of explaining it, so I hope I've done a good job doing it here now. But final lap, one chance to get Anton De Pasquale, looking for our first top 5. We're gonna get our first top 10 unless we do a screw up, but we should be okay. Brock Feeney, absolute dominance here in front of the field after a rough race 1 and 2 in Bathurst. Things didn't quite work out for him, but he comes through the final turn. Brock Feeney wins race 1 in Topo, and Supercars return to New Zealand, and now we have to just try and close in on De Pasquale here now as we come through the exit of the hairpin, and look at the run we get on De Pasquale. We'll get into the back of him there. Of course, back bumper to front bumper, bumper contact is not exactly encouraged in Supercars, so we got to be careful of that, but we didn't move him for a position. We're going to be side by side into the chicane. Who's going to get it? We go a little bit deep into the corner. We get on the brakes heavy now. Pasquale fights back, and he's going to get ahead at the apex. We try to switch back, and it's not going to work. It's going to be P6 for myself, P5 for Anton De Pasquale, but our first top 10 in our Supercars career, and it only took till race number 3. I enjoyed that launch. You see the finishing order with Hill and Fullwood rounding out the podium. Davison Jones, Macaulay Jones still with P8 on the two-stop strategy. You know he had speed. Tim Slade, Cook rounding out the top 10. Mostert with his off-track still rebounded to P11. Kostecki with a mid-weekend start there, 14th. Towards the bottom of the grid, though, Randall ends up last. Actually, 2 laps down. So when he made his pit stop, I think he actually might have been doing some damage repairs as well. Cam Waters with his off-track. Same for LeBrock. Heimgartner as well ends up 1 lap down at the bottom of the grid. So rough days for them. And now we focus in on day 2, and the weather, it's a bit different here to say the least. Rain coming down, and this is a mod in Assetto Corsa, and it doesn't do a great job of really allowing you to feel the effects of an actual wet track, but it's still a lot of fun to do here now. And so we are racing in the rain here from Topo now, just like they did in race 1 IRL actually, and where we saw Heimgartner pick up the victory, which was awesome to watch. That race was fantastic IRL, and hopefully we can put on a heck of a show. But you're seeing my quickest lap here in qualifying 2, and actually a bit of a mistake right there, but we're okay. And now we just focus on getting up through the gears, being careful of course on that throttle input, but we're all good through the gears. But down into the chicane, you can see right now Mostert, Cook, Pasquale, your top 3. So Jay Cook again looking strong as we round the final turn. What is it going to be as we exit that final turn to the line? Here we go up through the gears, and it's not good. It's P20, and I did not improve. In the rain, we would drop to 23rd. Will Davison is the only one that we were able to beat On pole in the rain, it's Mostert, Cameron Hill, who finished second in race 1. Cam Waters again in the top 3. Cook again with a good result. Brock Feeney with a bad one, however, as he is going to, of course, look to rebound that race victory, or defend that race victory. But we get ready now to start race number 2. Here we go. We're racing again from Topo race 2 on Sunday, and the rain is coming down, and you got those wipers going. Of course, got the headlights on my car. Nobody else bothers to put theirs on, but we're going to try and get aggressive on the run into turn 1. You saw Macaulay Jones look for a move. I'm going to take him 3 wide into the first turn. We'll get ahead of him. Actually, a little bit of contact on my rear bumper, but we're already into the top 20. Battle for second right there. Right now, Mostert out in front. There's Will Brown, who's looking for a rebound race as well. He's alongside Cook for that 4th position. Waters settles into 3rd behind Cameron Hill, who's having a stellar weekend as they continue side by side behind him. Cook, of course, looking for another rebound. He barely just got a top 10 there, but he continues his top 10 streak at 3 races. Heimgartner a little wide, and there's LeBron Kostecki, the 2 Erebus teammates side by side. It's nice to see that car have sponsors on it in the game, at least here. Now Brock Feeney way down the order there. You see Matt Payne in that New Zealand livery, of course, a New Zealand driver's representation within that team as we continue on behind Macaulay Jones, pole winner for race 1. Things didn't quite work out for him. Still got a respectful finish, but I'm sure not exactly what he wanted there, and actually into the back of Jones. We back out of it there. Don't want to, of course, pass after bumper-to-bumper contact, so we let that thing just get it sorted, and we'll focus in on now. Actually, I saw a brief yellow, but it looks like we might be okay. Yes, we are. We continue on through this long hairpin now, and we'll try to get up through the gears on this long back straightaway. Now, look at these guys fanning out across the straightaway. Look at that, running all the way to the left side of the circuit. I'm pretty cautious here into the braking zone now. I'm not quite comfortable yet in these conditions as we are just behind Matt Payne, so I'm just kind of letting things, you know, happen and let it sort itself out here and just wait to see what goes on. Look at those two racing each other to the left side of the circuit. Both are going to take a bad line, but now Jones opens up the entrance there to try and better his apex into turn number 1. Aaron Love, I had to cover him off behind, but we continue to just follow this battle right here, and that would continue here through the next few corners. Now is a big lunge. David Reynolds unexpectedly goes up the inside and kept it clean, avoided contact, and I had to kind of turn out of the corner at the tail end of it, so we would drop to 20th, and I'm just going nowhere right now. Really struggling with the conditions of this circuit right now. I mean, the rain is coming down. It's a steady, constant rain. It's not heavy rain. It's just a constant, steady, normal kind of rain. More than light, less than heavy. As now a move up the inside of Matt Payne. You can see everyone just scrapping it out. A great race here in the, further back the midfield towards the tail end of the pack. Not where I want to be, of course, but the racing is fantastic. And I mean, the front 2 leaders, Chaz Mostert and Cameron Hill, they are driving away from everybody as I miss my braking zone at the end of the long straight. We get it back on track, but we lose a position. I am struggling so much right now. I'm sorry.
Just focus in here. Your first time in the rain. We're all learning.
And you hear the words of encouragement right there from our race engineer, James Small, and again looking to repass Matt Payne. At least we're passing cars in race 2. We didn't make a single on-track overtake in that first race, which was frustrating, but yeah, we still got a great result. I mean, P6, you can't complain about that. A career best, our first career top 10 in Supercars, as now trying to complete the around the outside overtake and battle for the lead, heating up because Mostert locks up, and here comes Cameron Hill for the lead position. Now they're going to be side by side. Look at the gap they have to 3rd place back there, which now belongs to Will Brown. He's been moving his way forward, but to the lead goes Cameron Hill, but I don't think it's over. Chaz Mostert, one of the most popular drivers in Supercars, now going to lunge it around the outside. He keeps it wheel to wheel into the chicane, and now heading into the final left-hander to head down this short chute front straightaway. The rain falling, the grip still there. They would continue side by side through the first handful of corners, but finally Mostert hangs on to the lead and settles in. But Cameron Hill, 2nd place in race 1, putting a lot of pressure on for the win here today. Now is a mistake from myself into the back right there of Mark Winterbottom now as we continue side by side with David Reynolds. Now as we continue, we get ahead, and now we'll focus in on an overtake on Winterbottom towards the end of the lap. A little bit of door-to-door contact now. It gets physical down here in this part of the field in Supercars, but we should be able to complete the pass right now on Winterbottom, and we can focus in now on James Golding just in front. There's your Bathurst 2 winner of Jack LeBrock. He went off circuit there after running top 10. As I'm now going to go off track, we completely missed the braking zone, and our race just continues to just simply deteriorate now. And I've also flat spotted my left front tire, and you guys can't really see it being represented, but I can feel it being represented. So when you flat spot a tire in the game, your wheel is just constantly vibrating throughout the lap, no matter what. On the straightaways, it's just vibrating. So I can feel it in the left front now. Is actually a bit of a bang on the right rear. That's Matt Payne again as we continue to just kind of get beat around. We're making mistakes and we're having contact. It's not pretty in these conditions, and of course we're losing lots of time here now as we continue side by side. More contact with Matt Payne now. It continues to get physical for all the way down in 17th, 18th, 19th place now as we finally have a chance to lunge one up the inside now of Mark Winterbottom. A good Bathurst round for him here as we're going to exit side by side now, wheel to wheel contact with Winterbottom. We go sideways and he pushes us back in the right direction. This is the worst race of my life, dude. Oh my god, I need to pit now, guys.
Okay, pit this time, pit this time.
I mean, it's practically a meltdown I'm having here. Fortunately, if we pit now, we can make it on a one stop, just barely. So we are going to come in there, and I'm just trying to get towards the pit lane. Will Davison goes through. We'll pit just in front of Aaron Love and as well Fullwood, who had a good race one. There's a cone laying in the pit entrance, but we'll head in, and we're not going to repair any damage because we'll just lose too much time in the pits. And we're going to get a new set of wet Dunlop tires on that will get the flat spot taken care of, as actually Sladham going back onto the race circuit. But as well, we fill it up on fuel completely. So this will bring us, like I said, to the end of the race, not by much, but we do have just enough fuel to get to the end. So basically 6 laps. You can go to what, 17 full laps, so we should have at least an extra lap of fuel here. Now is Jay Cook, our teammate, going to be coming in, but I believe he's going to be aiming for a 2-stop. Same for Thomas Randall again. You can, like I said, make it from 1, but usually if you're pitting in the first half, you're going for a 2-stop. So those two, that's what I'm expecting, but I'm not 100% sure about them yet. We'll have to wait and see. As you can see, some battles happening around us now, but for myself, currently running 24th, dead last. We will eventually gain some spots. You look in the top right on the track map, the red arrow is me. The 2 just behind, that's the leaders of Monster and Hill. They are having one heck of a battle, and they have got a lot of pace. LeBrock, Davison, you see on the leaderboard, Matt Payne as well. They're all coming in. 88 liters of fuel for Payne. It means he is on the 2-stop. 100, I think, is set for Feeney. He might be able to stretch that to the end, and for the second consecutive race, Cook off the circuit there. Another lockup now as there's cars coming right at him very close, and Brody Kostecki, the defending champion, runs into Cook, and that is going to plummet Cook down the order. Kostecki with damage for sure, and the defending champ's rough start to the season continues, and it wasn't over in this corner. Look at the send right there from Cameron Hill up the inside of leader Mostert, and now Cameron Hill to the lead as Mostert drops into second position, but Cook is now going to be dead last, and we will be now advanced into at least 23rd. So Cook will be on track here momentarily, but of course he is way down the order. He would come into the pits as well, so he's going to try and rebound, but I think it's going to be basically day over. He lost a ton of time, and now here's our leader right there. That's Cameron Hill coming into the pits, while Mostert is going to stretch out this run. He remains on the racetrack. So lap 11 of 22, Hill likely for the one-stop strat here now. As you can see, is passing Jack LeBrock. Things are just not going great for LeBrock this weekend. He had a top 10 car in race 1 until the off track, but race 2 he just doesn't have the pace, and now we've run down Will Davison. These guys, of course, have made their pit stops now as we continue to be side by side with Davison, and he's not going to put up much of a fight right here. We'll clear Davison into the chicane, up into 21st place now, and actually had to shut the door on him a little bit there in that penultimate turn. So we'll try to open up the gap and run down Reynolds now. Chaz Mostert pits 120 liters of fuel, which guarantees a one-stop strat for him. As Heimgartner now to the lead with Will Brown, Pasquale, they have all yet to pit as we now pass Fullwood. So into the top 20, we can still get a good finish out of this. There's some cars in front of us that are on a two-stop strategy that I think are going to drop the ball here and come out behind us. And as well, on top of that, I think we just got good enough pace here to rebound, and we have finally found a comfort level here. And we have actually run down Winterbottom, as well as Reynolds, Aaron Love, all right there in front of us now. You see the top three all pitting, and Will Brown, contact right there. Oh my goodness. Anton De Pasquale into the wall. Here comes Cam Waters, and now more drivers into the wall. Will Brown, pit lane madness breaks out, and Waters as well. All three of these drivers just had their races thrown away, and that's going to be 3 free positions for myself. Thank you very much, gentlemen, but they have just absolutely tossed, struggling in the wet conditions, and they all just completely screw up the pit entry at the same time. As you see Richie Stanaway in that Penrite machine, limping this car around this track, dealing with these wet conditions. Thomas Randall there in that Castrol Edge car, and there's Brody Kostecki just in front of Jay Cook. Both of those two drivers having some rough days as well. Again, Kostecki, I mean, his season so far needs to be studied. Will Brown would eventually be back on track, and same for Cam Waters as well, but obviously way behind at this point now. Their races are completely ruined, as we were now up into about 18th place, and here we go for a move up the inside on lap 13 of Reynolds, and look at this end. Here we go up the inside of Percat. Thank you very much. Into P16. He just was really cautious into the corner, and we're just continuing to move our way forward. The confidence is there. The comfort level, like I said, has increased, and now a big slide, however, into the corner. We completely lost the rear end. We lost grip there on the wet surface. We fortunately keep it going in the right direction. P17, however, now down 1 position as we continue to try and do this recovery drive, and it did not take much to run down Reynolds again. And think about earlier, we were struggling to, do what these guys were doing, and now we're running down these guys that we were struggling with, and we're passing them. But we're drag racing here down this back straightaway. We would eventually clear Reynolds into the chicane. So back up into P16 with only 7 laps to go. Reynolds comes in for his second pit stop there. 2-stop strategy, definitely not ideal for him. Matt Payne as well on a 2-stop. He comes in for his second and final stop now. 67 liters of fuel they put in that car. He'll exit just a little bit outside of the top 18 now as we're coming up on this battle in front of us. P15 is where we run. There might be another car or two on a 2-stop in front of us here. We're going to find out in these closing laps, and sure enough, there goes one car. Actually can't quite tell who it is. That's Brock Feeney. Brock Feeney on the 2-stop. He's had a rough day after winning race 1 in Topo, but of course the 2-stop not going to quite work. The 2-stop just doesn't work if you're outside of the top 10 here. Now into the braking zone, and I've done the same mistake we've seen many do today, and there's our teammate Cook. The 3rd time this weekend he's made that mistake. Oh my goodness, we run P14, but that is going to do it now. We're too far back to run down Brody Kostecki, Mark Winterbottom, Cameron Hill, absolute dominance. Chaz Mostert, after he got passed for the lead, actually lost another spot. Aaron Love in these closing moments for his second of 2 stops, so that will put us into P13. But it's Hill, Stanaway, Mostert, your top 3 as the final lap is underway for Cameron Hill. At this point, oh my goodness, Kostecki off track again for the 2nd time as well. Thank you very much. That will move us into P12. What a rebound drive. It wasn't pretty. It's been an up and down weekend, of course. The highs of race 1, getting 6th position, a career high, our first top 10, and then the struggles early on in this race, but just the strategy as well as just having a very solid final half of this race, aside from that off track a few moments ago, has rebounded us to P12, but no one was better in the wet conditions than that guy right there. 2nd place in race 1. In the race 2, it's Cameron Hill out of the final turn, wins the race here in Topo. What a weekend in New Zealand for him. That's going to really help him, of course, in the points now, as we're going to bring it home here in this, well, it says 19th. That's just because some lap cars have crossed the line. Look at the field as well, by the way, how close we were cutting it. Winterbottom just in front of us. That's 11th. Randall actually P10. He was not on the 2-stop. He was 1-stopping it the whole time, although he pitted early. He really stretched it to the line. P12, in my opinion, a nice rebound drive. We'll absolutely take that here. A decent weekend in New Zealand, but certainly not mistake-free. You see the finishing order with Hill, Stanaway, Mostert as well, all on the podium, with Heimgartner P4, Golding, Wood, Slade, Jones, Waters, Randall, your top 10, and you look down through the rest of the order, big names again. Kostecki with the struggles, Brock Feeney as well, Will Brown, Jay Cook, all the way at the bottom of the grid, his first non-top 10 finish in his young Supercars career so far. And to finish it out, you see the point standings on your screen, it's Mark Winterbottom at top of the standings right now with 441 points over Cameron Hill, as well as Brock Feeney, LeBrock, and Heimgartner. Rookie Cook there in the 6th position. Myself, P16 in the standings. So some work to do, to say the least, going forward. All the way at the bottom, you can't see the last few names, but Payne, Reynolds, Love, Perkett, all at the bottom of the grid. Kostecki and Randall with some work to do. But that's going to wrap it up for me. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.